Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SoulShape Podcast, where we focus on your spiritual fitness, or what we like to call our energetic self-care. We're sisters, and we are the co-founders of SoulShape, a quantum wellness app designed to make it easier and accessible to find healing practitioners in the energy healing world. We want to have soulful conversations about spirituality and wellness, and whether you are dabbling or taking a deep dive into energy healing, we want to introduce modalities and healing practitioners to you one by one. So it's time to get into SoulShape. My name is LJ Woodard, and this is my sister, Leslie Bennett. And what are we talking about today, Leslie?
We're talking about Reiki. Did I get that right?
You did.
I have a tendency to call it Reiki, so
We'll talk about that.
I know it's tomato in my mind, but there are those that say, no, it's Reiki.
Yes, Reiki.
Reiki, and with us is a Reiki practitioner.
Introduce her.
Yeah, I'm going to introduce her as she's a Reiki practitioner on the SoulShape app. So you can find her and book a service with her. And Danny is also a yoga instructor. You do a lot of different things. Danny's journey to self-healing came through her own struggles with digestion issues. So we can talk about that. She began eliminating toxins from her food intake and transitioned to a plant-based diet and the power of the brain and body connection. And through yoga, she was able to recognize the untreated anxiety and depression and use mindfulness to balance the mind and body. The self-compassion that she learned in yoga led her to Reiki. So this is the method of energy healing we're going to discuss soon. And on this new path, she awakened her dharma, life's purpose. I love that, which is to help people come back to themselves and discover their inner peace. Danny holds the space for others with love and compassion because she herself has experienced feeling discomfort in the mind and body. Welcome, Danny, to the SoulShape Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So why don't we just start off, why don't you explain in your words what Reiki is and how it works?
So for Reiki, the simplest term that I can put it is that it's universal love. So, or for others, it could be energetic healing. It is used to heal the body energetically or physically. There's a lot of amazing different properties and stuff like that. Me personally, when I give someone a Reiki session, depending on how open they are to the service and the experience, I'm also able to tap into their past lives. Sometimes I can see physical wounds that they need to work on or past traumas that they also need more attention to heal within themselves.
And when you say see, how do you see? Like, how does that translate to you?
Yeah, so...
Like, I would think, oh, you're seeing dead people in the room? or is it more of a soul sense, if you will?
It's a lot of different things. So each person is unique and different in their own service to me. So sometimes I see visions, sometimes I hear things, or I smell things. Sometimes it's just a knowing that I have. Mm-hmm. So it just depends on the person.
Love all that.
So you found Reiki through yoga. Yoga was like the first,
Yes.
like the launching pad.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was at UNCW, so the University of Wilmington, North Carolina, I was taking the yoga minor. And there's only 2 universities in the country that offer it, which is crazy.
Let's just stop for a yoga minor. Who doesn't
Where
love
was
I love
this
that.
when I was in college?
That is so cool. I love it.
Yeah, so I earned my 200-hour certification through UNCW.
To be honest, that's the best way to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
I would,
yeah.
So, gosh, because I still want to get my certification for yoga, but gosh, you could do it during your university days.
Yeah, it was 20 credit hours. It was amazing. Awesome. I loved it. But yeah, so the person who was teaching the class, I won't mention her name just out of respect because I didn't get her permission. But the person who was teaching me yoga at UNCW was sensing the blockages that I was having. And being at UNCW, I experienced a lot of panic attacks and stuff, which later I discovered it was because I was in a new environment, so my body was reacting to it, even though I didn't understand why. And then so she was like, I want to help you, so let me give you a quick Reiki session. And I was like, what is that?
What is that?
I was like, that sounds so weird.
You're going to wave your hands around and you're going to do something? What?
She was like, what were you expecting? What did you think?
What?
I honestly, at this point, I was like, I don't care what it is. I'm open to it. And the more open you are to anything healing-wise, the more you're going to get out of it. So for me, I was just open to the experience And it was this amazing sensation, and I was like, what is that? And it was only about like 5 minutes, but I felt like this energy being compacted where my stomach region is, and then it raised up and it got really hot, and then it came back towards me, and then it dissipated away. And it was like the craziest thing. And I was like, what was that? And she was like, girl, you got some weird stuff up in there. And I was like, you're not lying.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so I learned a little bit more after the fact. And then later on, as I graduated college and stuff, I was like, are you teaching this? And she was like, I'm not at that level, but I know who is teaching it. So there I met my Reiki mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took, and then later on that year, I took level 1 and level 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then recently, a month ago, I got my Reiki master's.
So we are sitting with a Reiki master.
Yes.
A Reiki master. I love it. You know, it's so funny when everyone's like, I wanted to know if you had ever heard about it before? Because I mean, the only thing I ever heard of Reiki before, Leslie, do you remember that movie with Michael Keaton and Nicole Kidman called My Life?
No.
For you movie buffs out there, you don't remember it? And he had some kind of disease, and they weren't able to heal it or figure it out, and they were trying everything, and they went into like L.A., downtown L.A., and he did this, you know, for you listeners out there, I'm doing the Reiki movement, but it was Reiki, and it's from Japan, correct?
Yes, it is a Japanese practice.
And so, yes, he was a Japanese medicine man, and I just remember that's when I heard about it. That's like 30 years ago, but I mean, that was the only time. Only time. So that's interesting to me. My sister's looking at me with eyes. So this is the sister part of the episode where my sister goes, do I know you? Who are you?
Yeah, we have this like nonverbal communication between the two of us. That's kind of funny. I want to also sort of, well, there's 2 questions that I have in my mind. Because I know, or I don't understand, I guess I should say. I've heard of holy fire Reiki. Is there different, denominations is the word that comes to mind, but that's probably not right. Is there different practices of Reiki?
Yes, so each practitioner has their own practice of how they do it. As far as holy fire Reiki, I'm not too familiar with that one. I believe there is a practitioner on SoulShape app that does that.
Holy fire. Yeah, so there's our different practice. So if someone was a consumer, is it important for me to know who you train by or what the name of the Reiki, I don't know, what's a good word? Is it denomination? Is it Reiki practice? It's kind of
Style.
like, or
Yeah,
I'm thinking of like physicians and like you go to the ear doctor, or you go to they're all doctors, right?
Right.
Or
So
it's
you're
like
all
yoga.
you're all Reiki practitioners. Does it matter, do you think?
I honestly, with any type of practitioner or healer, I think, in my personal opinion, just reading someone's profile and just feeling a deep sense if that's someone you feel called to go to.
And we do talk about that. It's resonance, right? It's resonance. Like all of a sudden you get those
Absolutely.
butterflies, or you get this knowing, or you get this excitement,
Right.
whatever it is. I'm like, oh my God, I got to work with Danny.
Yeah.
She's like, she gets me.
Yeah, and for me, my practice is very personal. I try to make all of my clients feel at home and safe in the environment that I share with them. It's a whole experience. I always book out to like 90 minutes for my clients because I don't want to rush the process.
Yeah.
It depending on the person, it may take a short amount of time, it may take a longer period of time, but whatever it is, I do not want to rush it because some people just need what they need.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
were you gonna ask something?
No. There's a lot of things I'm like vibing with.
Yeah.
You know, because we talked about in an earlier episode, you know, in how to pick a practitioner on SoulShape, and we did talk about, you know, getting that resonance, but we also talked about, you know, the person you choose, you're going to be at your most vulnerable with, because there is
Absolutely.
no masks with energy healers, really.
Yeah.
right?
The
We
good
can see through it. We may not acknowledge that we know what you are not sharing us because we respect that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were going to say?
Oh, I'm sorry. When it comes to Reiki, the most important thing is consent. So the client has to consent to the practitioner. And with that, that is being vulnerable. Now, I have had cases where people say they want a Reiki sessions, but their soul is like, what are you doing? Like totally skeptic and like watching me and very cautious during the whole thing. But consent plays a huge part into it because you are super vulnerable and there are a lot of traumatic things that can come up. And for me, and I know a couple other practitioners, we take notes, but it's up to the client if you want to discuss what came up or not.
Talk about the actual process. So if someone, you know, is just completely new to this, this modality, it's been around forever.
Yes.
So and so it's not a new thing, but it's an energy. You're not ever touching the person, right?
Yes and no.
Yes, and okay.
It depends. So the first thing that we do is making sure that the space is energetically cleansed. And then, you're talking to your client, things like that. But once they're on the massage table, or you can even do Reiki long distance. And whenever each person is ready, you open up the chakras because that's what we're working through, the 7 chakras in the body. And then after that, we go through each one, bringing them back to balance and taking notes if we choose. And then we close the chakras, and then we gently bring the client out of the session, and then we talk to them if they want to. And then we're able to, cleanse the space afterwards because it's super important to cleanse before and after each session.
Is it more about what you're sensing and feeling, and then talking to your, it's not the word patient, your person afterwards and sharing what you discovered? It's not like this, I mean, I'm going to get all theatrical again. Like it looks like something that's like demon be gone type thing, it looks like something when you're over someone and like, pulling something out.
Yeah.
And that's like a theatrical sense, but I mean, I've done it before. It's amazing that energy and how you can feel things. Even like Leslie will dabble in it with me, and she's always trying to remove things from my throat and things where she sees like stress or tension. What in the practice, what is more significant? Is it the discussion afterwards or like during?
I think the whole process is significant. Like you were saying with the hovering of the hands and stuff of demonic beings.
It's not.
Rob, have you ever had it done? No?
All jokes aside, but
sorry, I had to say it. Sorry.
The hovering of the hands, you're feeling the energy. Sometimes if you feel like you need to, if you feel like you're not getting a clear reading, then you gently put your hands there. As you know, like the root chakra is around like the scrotum area, so practitioners will access it through the feet. So you're not hovering over there. Yeah, it's more appropriate. And then for some people, they don't want to be touched at all in certain places. So it's always good to ask beforehand, is there any places you don't want to be touched? Just in case if someone has to.
Like you said, consent, being
Consent.
open.
Yes.
Okay.
And I want to build on something you said.
Which part, the demon
there's
be gone?
actually 2 things.
Sorry.
Yeah, you just like to be dramatic, don't you?
I do. We're allowed to have fun. Or we were told we
For
can have
those
fun.
listening, Laura Jean just did a dramatic sort of wave to the audience. It's so funny.
And that's my real name, Laura Jean.
Anyway, now you got me off
sorry.
topic. Anyway,
You're
okay,
gonna go
there's
back.
2 things. One is you talked about consent and the skeptic. That skeptic to me, while healthy, can also block, yeah?
Yes, it can block. So for each, that's why it's almost important to get like a monthly Reiki session. If people want to do it more frequently, they can, but it's up to what feels best for the client. I think monthly is good because each session will bring up something new. And the more you do it, the more you become open to it if you are skeptic of the whole process.
Yeah, which lends me to the other thing. While Laura Jean is very dramatic with Demon Be Gone, do you really need to know what you're releasing? I mean, because I know we have a tendency like, well, what was that? Did I release my, inner child trauma? Did I release, a past life phobia? Do I really need to know? And do you attempt to communicate that to you? What do you do when you feel a block? Because sometimes it's just a block.
Yeah, for example, I've done a crown and third eye cleansing for someone, and in those two chakras there was a lot of like inner demons that were going on and stuff. And so through my Reiki, I brought in a lot of love and a lot of pure, authentic light to remove that. I myself am only a guide, so it's up to you to maintain that. And that's why practitioners are here to help maintain that. There's a lot of power and beauty in your own intentions and things like that. But I can tell you what to do and how to, keep these things at bay or keep them gone. But it's up to you to maintain that.
Energetic self-care.
Exactly.
So when we started this conversation, you talked about universal love.
Yes.
How does that work in your practice?
So with Reiki, we ground from the solar plexus, which is right underneath the rib cage here,
We're doing
going
a visual.
all the way down. Yeah, I was just cupping my own ribs here. And yet, so we're working and grounding through the solar plexus, which is right underneath the ribs, above the belly button, all the way down into the sacral and the root chakra, grounding in the feet. So we're pulling from energetic light and universal love from our heart chakra through our crown. So, and our heart chakra is also access into our arms and in our hands, which is, why you see the hovering of the hands here. And so I'm pulling energy through that to give to the client. And they're giving the energy to me so I can transform it into light and love.
Do you ever feel drained? Because that's a lot of energy flowing through you.
Yes.
And for you.
Yes. As a practitioner, you have to take care of yourself during this.
And what do you do?
I do a lot of being in nature is my biggest grounding. So I like to walk barefoot over at Hollyburton Park a lot. And so that's where I like to be grounded and stuff, and
Nice.
or taking myself by water and just taking time away from my phone to just really sit in nature. And because whatever I got going on, I know that I can give it to Mother Earth so she can recycle it into whatever she wants to.
Now, you also, I noticed on our app, you also offer other services like oracle readings, crystal. I mean, how do you implement? Does that come hand in hand with Reiki, or is it something totally separate, or do you allow the two to complement each other?
Yeah, so I like to incorporate it into my Reiki practice if someone wants that or not. So typically what I do is that after I've done my little introduction and explaining the whole process, I'll use one of my sound bowls to get them nice and grounded through breath work so they feel more relaxed and open to receiving.
There is nothing like a sound bath, I tell you.
It's
is
so
just
nice.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's like adult lullaby music for me. I mean, the minute a yoga teacher does, if she pulls out those sound bowls, I'm like, oh God, this is.
Makes for a nicer
Oh my
Shavasana,
gosh,
right?
thank you so much. Mommy, it's so nice. I do, I love it. Rob, have you had a sound bath?
No.
Gosh,
It's really nice.
Signal Fire Media. Okay, sound bath, Reiki. Okay,
Yeah.
we're adding the list.
And then during my Reiki practice, sometimes I have crystals prepared to the side. And if I feel like they need a crystal, I'll place it on one of the chakras. And it'll sit there for either the remaining of the session or temporarily while I'm currently working on that chakra. And then afterwards, I have oracle cards ready for them to choose through if they would like. And sometimes I have little tea quotes if they want to take them home with them, just to make it a little bit more personal. And most of the time, actually all the time, I'm not trying to brag.
Every day.
But
Brag away.
But the oracle
Brace your power,
reading,
girl.
right? But a lot of the times, all the time, the oracle cards resonate with the Reiki session that they
That's
just
the
had.
magic that
It is the
happens.
magic.
The magic.
And it's just a little extra confirmation that this is what they needed to hear.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, we crave that validation, right?
Absolutely.
Because that's like I know when the first time I saw energy healing in practice, I
You thought it was
I
crazy.
I did. I
It does. It looks
it was 6 months after my husband died, and I needed to get out of town because it was Christmas time.
Mhm.
And you'd go to the mall and you'd see mothers and daughters, or you'd see just things that would trigger me. I just had to get away. So Deborah King was doing a well-known energy healer. She was doing a thing at LA right at the airport, a hotel in the airport.
Mm.
And she would go on the platform stage, and I don't think it was Reiki, but energy healing. And she would just rub her hands over people. And I thought that was like, what? You know, what is this? And until there was one person that ended up on the platform, and all of a sudden you could feel a temperature drop
Yeah.
because this person was carrying like this disease, because the only reason she knew love was through being ill. People loved her because when she was ill, she got attention. And so that created an energy block with her. And Deborah and her trainees were on stage, and they pulled something out from her throat, and half the room started gagging. And you could just feel it. It was,
Yeah.
and that's when I became a believer. So when someone gets a validation, whether it's from a personal experience, so subtle shifts, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you've had your first experience, you could feel a temperature shift. You could feel,
Yes.
you know, something going on, but you couldn't explain it, right?
Yeah, it's really difficult sometimes to explain.
So that's why I always talk about when someone does energy work, it's all about those subtle shifts. And you're questioning it. Did that really happen? You know, did I really, did my body just go up? Did I really experience like that gagging sensation? You know,
Yeah.
you question it. But if you could get something that has a card that says, you know, you picked this card,
Yeah.
you're in alignment with what just happened. And so I'm curious, just because I know from my own experience, I questioned it for days afterwards. Like, did that really happen? Is this what energy work is? And that hooked me for more experiences. And so how have your clients given you feedback in that? That was a really long question.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
And back to Danny Reese.
And Danny, let's talk about you.
But that was
Not
a good
all
story,
about
Leslie. It's a good story. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a good one to share.
And before we get into your question, I want to go into that story and just say how important it is to protect your own energy. If you were able to feel that person's choking in their throat chakra and all the people that were gagging, it's super important to make sure that you are energetically
Good point.
keeping yourself protected from absorbing other people's energy.
Yeah.
Any advice on how to do that?
Yeah.
Well, of course, there's crystals. Sometimes there's things that you can do, like black tourmaline, black obsidian is really good. A lot of the times, it's also just your own intention being like, and sometimes with your own intention, you might even have to reset it every, maybe a couple times throughout the day, but you can just be, I'm putting up my little force field bubble.
Your human shield.
Your human shield.
I think mothers do that naturally. It's kind of like, you know, when there's a storm or it looks kind of hairy. You're like, don't worry, we're fine. You know, it's just like that shield just comes naturally for some.
Yeah, sometimes it does, which is great. But it's really important to remind yourself to keep up that shield. And sometimes tuning in and listening to your own intuition and asking yourself, is this my energy? Because sometimes
Somebody else's.
we can be feeling anxieties or other things that we haven't experienced or just randomly came to us and we were like, we were just fine. But it's like looking within and being like, is this mine? And sometimes when I give Reiki sessions, I'll like write something down and they'll be like, well, I'm not struggling with that, but my partner is. So you absorbed their energy.
Ooh.
Yeah. So making sure.
Is that what you call an empath? Is that so?
Yeah.
I mean, we're all at this very empathic at this table. I mean, I know.
I'm a sensitive, not an empath.
Okay, I was going to say, I wanted to clarify because I know she's not really that empathic. But man, I mean, I just, I feel a lot. And so I couldn't do the Reiki. I'd probably be like, it would kill me probably.
Oh.
I know, it's not awful. Did I say that out loud? I should have said that. But Rob said to be vulnerable and honest.
No, it's always
But
good
it's
to be
like,
vulnerable and honest.
It would just be too much.
Yeah. You know, I don't know what it is. It's
I
like
mean, I'm crying
putting on
just
my,
thinking about it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm a Reiki person. It's like, how do I do it?
It's like, for me, it's just putting on like my superhero suit and just like showing up. And it's just, when I became certified in Reiki, I just knew, I was like, this is how I'm supposed to help people. And I always had a lot of love, and people used to tell me that I was giving it all away and stuff. And it's like, no, I am meant to share this with other people, and Reiki is how I do it. And so I just like keep myself guarded and be like, this is how I choose to show up for you, for other people.
Look at how calm Danny is.
So freaking
Jeez,
beautiful.
I know.
I just want to breathe that in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just.
I can give you some if you want.
I mean,
Maybe not on the show, but
Yes, please.
Like, Rob, let's do no kidding. Rob's never had it. But no, it's again, when we talk about energetic self-care and all these, different healing modalities, Reiki's definitely one of those. It's not even up and coming. It's becoming.
It's the now.
It's the now. More people are
Yes.
talking about it, just like acupuncture, just like yoga. Those were kind of more foreign.
People
the
are
minute-
doing it on pets.
I mean, when it's covered in your health insurance, like when acupuncture started being covered on your health insurance, the minute Reiki gets on that, I'd be like, okay, we are really making a big shift. That'll be
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah.
When you
I
were
don't think
getting,
it's far behind.
yeah, I don't think it's that far either.
It's definitely coming.
yeah, because even when you go to like really
exciting.
like maybe bougie spas, like it's being offered. It's being offered everywhere.
Did you just word the word bougie?
Is that a right? Did I say it right?
No. I mean, no, yes, you did.
Okay.
But I just think it's funny. Like, oh, didn't even know that was in your vocab.
Because a backstory, sometimes I say things the wrong way.
Oh, yeah.
That same.
I do that thing like, did I just say it right? But you're seeing it more and more being offered. I want to go back to when you said, when you had it done on you,
Mm-hmm.
and when she said, oh, you got some stuff in there. How did that make you feel? Like, first of all, it was like Leslie was talking about that validation. You're like, yes, there is something there. Like kind of go back there a minute. I want to talk more about that.
Yeah, so actually the first time she said that, I was like, what kind of demons do I got going on in there? Like, was I possessed?
Yeah.
So that was honestly like the first thing that I thought of. But I guess looking back on it now, it kind of just makes me think of the hidden moments of what I discovered through hypnotherapy, which was, if I can be vulnerable on here, like I was like molested at the age of 10 and raped at the age of 4 and stuff, and my psyche shielded that away from me to know. And so when I was forced to move into a new environment, my body was reacting, but my mind shielded from me. So I was like, what is happening?
Protect
You were out of resonance.
Yes. And so through hypnotherapy, I recently discovered what it was. And I think that's the things that who gave me Reiki was
So when they
casting
do the
away.
Reiki and they discover, and you would discover something, is a plan set in motion where you would be advising someone to see a nutritionist or other modalities, whether it be therapy or other, I mean, does it open up a whole nother, open more doors to other healing modalities? Is it,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I recommend so many other practitioners, either through the SoulShape app or through the community here in Wilmington. And like recently, my most recent Reiki practice was actually on my boyfriend. And I was like over in his like chest, heart chakra area, and I was like, you need to see a doctor on your lungs. So just because like he used to smoke in the past, and now he does vaping, but he has like these weird coughs every once in a while.
vaping.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
And so for
a mom, I hate
me, I had like this sense, I'm like, you should go get this checked out. And now obviously everything is a suggestion or a recommendation, but it's like fully up to you if you want to go to those next steps or not.
Maybe, do you think, Leslie, like Reiki's a good first one? When we were talking about an episode, how do you get started? Where do I begin? How do I choose a modality?
For sure.
Like Reiki would be like, that would be a first, like,
I think it's an
first one.
easy, if someone was interested in energy healing, I think it's an easy one to.
a good introduction.
A good introduction to energy healing. And then they can go to anything else from there because it presents a foundation to understand, and see if you agree, Danny. When you have those energy healings, it's a subtle energy. And I would say to people, to be mindful of a thought that may come to your mind while it's happening, or a tingle in a particular part of the body, or, an emotional reaction. Like I was, and this isn't Reiki, but I was on an acupuncture thing, and I got the word horror in my head, which is such a weird word to pop into your head. But there was some energy being moved that had to do with horror. So I'm assuming it's a similar with Reiki.
Yes. It is
hard,
definitely.
Yes.
And would you
Yes.
agree that it's probably a good one if someone wanted to try energy healing for the first time and not understand it or is a little spooked by it, that would probably be the easiest and most gentle?
Honestly,
One of them.
Honestly, I recommend letting me show them energy. So I actually offer this. I can show someone how to feel their own energy, and how to feel when they're in balance and not in balance. And I'm not going to certify them and all that, but but I can show them that if they're curious. And if they want to take it to the next step to a full Reiki session, we can go into that. But I'll start out with, let me show you what to look for. So if you're curious. I also think that if you're new to spirituality or these type of services, starting out with probably your astrology and your human design and just learning more about yourself.
Yeah.
And then maybe go into learning how to read the energy like I was talking about, and then the Reiki, and then open the door to other possibilities
Those
if
are
you so choose.
great suggestions.
Well, the other possibility is Danny also does elemental space clearing, and we love that.
Yeah.
We do. I mean, Leslie does it. You do it in your house like twice, like once a
What
year?
I like to do is at the beginning of the year, like the first week in January, I do a space clearing with another girlfriend of mine. We did past life regressions together.
Oh, beautiful.
So
Past life detective.
she's called the past
Buffy.
life detective. But,
Her name is Buffy.
But I like at the beginning of the year. That way you clear out all the Christmas guests and stuff, and
Yeah.
you start the year, and the house just sparkles. So I didn't do it this year for some reason, but I try to set one every year at the beginning of the year, just so you start the year fresh and clean. Your space is clear of any of that energetic residue that occurs with family visits or other visits, and then you start the year with some momentum.
Yeah, that's
So.
beautiful.
That's what I do.
I try to do it once a month.
Wow, that'd
yeah.
be amazing.
I like to do it once a month, like the beginning of the month, just cleansing out anything. I also do my Reiki sigils at both entrances of my doors, as well as blowing salt and cinnamon into the house. The salt for protection, cinnamon for abundance. So I'll do that as well. But making sure that when you are cleansing, that you're hitting each corner, because that is where like energy likes to get stuck. You can also place like crystals in the bottom of each corner of the house as well. That's also important. When I do a lot of cleansings as well, I'll also apply Reiki to the house. Now, Reiki, you can apply to anything. It doesn't have to be just a person. So I can apply it to the house. And I also go through with my sound bowl just to get a little extra pizzazz. But
No, there's a resonance to that, because I think science is really coming around with frequencies and healing. So I'm sure there's a frequency to certain places on Earth. That's why we have vortexes, right? And I'm sure the sound at a
Absolutely.
vortex versus a sound on, say, my property or someone's apartment would have a different tone and tonality, which I can't wait till we get there with science and play with tones from a scientific level, because I love that part. But from a spiritual part, I'm there, you know.
Well, even if you're not, we talk about we're all embracing the woo, and all these are like we're having a very woo-ful conversation. There's some
Yeah.
people, if you know, and people who are very close, good friends, family. If they would at this table just be like, I'm going to go get a drink, or I'm going to be like, they would just check out because
Yeah.
this is just not part of their mentality. But yet, these are the same people, close members of my family. When we were moving into our home, you know, a close personal family person had died in that room, in that house.
Yeah.
And we were all kind of feeling, is this the right move? Should we move into this house? I still think of that. And I'm like, well, we'll clear the house, do an elemental space, we'll do a clearing. And that just gave everyone was like down with that. I'm like, don't worry. This place is all good energy. It's all good. It's clean. It's clear. And that it never got brought up again. And maybe just gave everyone peace of mind. But that always makes me think, see, we're all a little woo.
Yeah.
You know, that's the whole point. It's like, or there's a reason why you like me, or I birthed you, or you married me. Because, I mean, if you can't be so far removed.
Yeah, and even with people who are religious, I mean, if you really think about it, that's also woo.
Yeah.
So
It is.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
Someone created a world in 7 days.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just really cool with how much your intentions can impact your space.
Powerful.
Thank you.
I like the idea of a once a month elemental space clearing. That would be, I mean, if everyone's getting their houses clean, if you're hiring a maid, why don't you just add that onto the, I mean, not everyone's hiring a maid. I clean my own house. I'd like a maid. But
For the hard days,
yes.
yes.
For the hard days. But I feel like that. I definitely feel the energy in a house. And I love that you said it's like doing Reiki on a house. It's like, or it is.
It
Reiki.
is, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. We need to do that more. You need to do it when you go back home too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's time.
And you can even do it more frequent if you need to. Like let's say, my roommate, love her to death, but when she gets upset, sometimes just because of how intense her energy is, it can get stuck. So sometimes when she's going through something, I go behind her and I'm like cleansing the house. And I'm just like, just to bring some more love in.
If I ever have an argument with my husband and
That's what you need to do.
He comes back, he's like, nice sage all through the house. I've saged the home type thing. I'm like, let's clear all that energy up. But
yeah, my dad would always say to me, he was like, why do you burn that stuff? It smells like smoke. And I was like, it's working.
It's working.
It's working. If someone doesn't like the smell of sage or how you cleanse your house, that means that person's not meant to be in your energetic field. So
I just learned something.
yeah. So if someone's like reacting to it in a negative way, that's supposed to keep them out.
So what if it's in your own house and you don't like the smell? Is it telling you that I need to sell my house?
I mean, you can look inward, or you can pick a different, or you can try a couple more things until you make that decision.
That's not true for me. I'm just curious because
Yeah.
there was periods where it took me a while to build a relationship with sage.
Yeah.
And I have one girlfriend who's a healer, hates it.
That's okay.
Hates it.
I used it. I used to travel a lot for work, and being in so many different hotel rooms, it kind of became my my guardian angel. I had my acting coach, and who's comedy. When I did stand-up comedy, I'm going to give a shout out to Sandy Seashore, and because she was so spiritual, she's passed on. So Sandy, if you're hearing me, but she told me, LJ, take this sage wherever you go, wherever you can just hit all the corners in your hotel room and you'll be fine. And it just got me through all those years of travel.
I love that.
It was really nice.
I'm looking at you because that was so long ago.
It was long ago when I was an
Yeah.
auto show girl traveling from town. I mean, in stand-up comedy.
It was like last century
I know.
stuff.
Sandy Seashore, famous.
Yeah.
Family owns the Comedy Store. Daughter of Sammy Shore. I'm going on a tangent. I'm sorry, but that's interesting, isn't it?
But
Her
you
brother's
can
Pauly
try,
Shore.
You can try different modalities. So you can try like Palo Santo. You can try different incense. You don't have to just do sage.
See, that's
Some
good to
people
know.
don't want to use sage because they feel like they're disrespecting indigenous people. You could do, like I said, your own intention of cleansing the space, using your own energy to bring in the love and the light into your home, shielding it out.
Yeah.
So whatever, and you can see
know.
what works best for you.
Wow. Well, where are we right now? I think I'm going to do a soul stretch right now, a quick soul stretch. And Danny, you're probably like, what is that? What does that mean? And so it's like after we've had our conversation, we just want to, it's like a closing,
Okay.
So stretch our souls. Like, what was your, takeaway, Leslie, from this conversation
I
today?
think we can do a little bit of explanation on soul stretch.
Oh, yeah,
It's where
please
we've
do.
like stretched our minds, stretched our feelings, stretched something in our beliefs, in our conversations, and our understandings. So that's why we call it a soul stretch.
A
Oh, I love
soulful
that.
stretch.
Yeah. So, and we're all doing that all the time because through conversations and energy exchanges, we all are always, learning more, bending more, so it's being flexible, right? So go ahead. You have a soul stretch.
I mean, no, you go ahead first. Because you explained that so well.
Well, I think it's the thing I learned about sage that I mentioned a while ago, that if it's working, it's because someone's not vibing with the smell, that they're not meant to be in that space. So that's where I stretched. I think that was kind of cool. I learned something today. Go ahead, Laura.
It's also just that Reiki can be, it's just not on people, it's on a home. And it's also, you can design your own, like the sage, your own different scents and smells, however you're going to take that energy
Yes.
for the good. So that's a big takeaway for me too. It's like we always want to follow rules and what it has to be. And I kind of like, that's what gives it that personal touch.
Yeah.
Makes it your own, which gives you happiness.
I think rules are good, but also I feel like they can be stretched as well. I think the biggest thing is just your intention. And,
That's a good one.
And where the source of your intention comes from. And you can do so much with that.
The source of your intention.
Well,
Love
we're
that.
going to close on that wonderful thought, Miss Danny. I mean, everything. I love her. Look at her just sitting here. For those of you, I mean,
I know,
go on the YouTube channel.
styling
She's,
people.
she's like, she looks.
She's
the
got her
part. She
crystals,
looks great.
she's got her hat, she's got her black outfit. She's
And
vibing.
So thank you, Danny. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Signal Fire Media, and to all our listeners. We really believe wellness starts within and unlocking unlimited possibilities with energetic healing. We want you to embrace the woo, dabble, dive, or discover your next healing experience on the SoulShape app. You can book with Danny on soulshape.app, and she has a variety of different services, healing services from Reiki to elemental space clearing, just all kinds of cool things, even oracle readings. All links available in the show notes. We hope you enjoyed this soulful stretch, and join us again for more magical, soulful, energetic healing conversations on the SoulShape app. Goodbye.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Oh, my big sister says like and subscribe.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of
Bye.
course. Bye. Thank you.